Hello class. Today we're going to talk about how to organize an inverted pyramid story. As we had talked about in other classes, an inverted pyramid story is the type of story that you should expect to write for a newspaper, for most magazines, and even for television or radio. It's an inverted pyramid. If you can imagine what a pyramid looks like, and you invert it, meaning you turn it upside down, so it's shaped like a V, or like a funnel, if you can imagine that. It's wide at the top, and as it goes down, it narrows. That is an image that I want you to keep at the back of your mind as we go through this lecture. So when we write an inverted pyramid, it's usually used for breaking news, for hard news meaning news that are about immediate things that we need to get out there. So it's almost as if we're in a hurry to get the news out. You need to go back to one of the things we had talked about the 5 W's and 1 H, where you concentrate on what happened, who is involved, where did it happen, when did it happen, why did it happen, and sometimes how did it happen. And you try to get all that out in as few words as possible in the very first sentence of your writing. And that is why it's recommended that you try to do that in no more than 35 words. And those 35 words will give the major news of the story. And then you write a second paragraph that provides major points that would not fit into the opening paragraph. And I'll give you an example. First sentence lead, a Fresno City College student was killed as he crossed Blackstone and Weldon on Tuesday afternoon. Okay, that one sentence tells you what happened, who is involved, where it happened, when it happened. Okay. Oh, it doesn't tell us everything. So in the second sentence or second paragraph, we're going to write about, for example, do we know the student's name? Do we know why, or more details about the accident? Was the student not paying attention? Was the student pushed? Was the student trying to beat the traffic? We try to bring in more of that in the second paragraph. Then we use the third paragraph to provide even more details if necessary. Let's say that in the course of our reporting and research, you found out that the student has a habit of trying to run across traffic even when there's a lot of cars moving up and down. Okay, that's the kind of information that we may want to bring up. Or maybe we found out that the student had gotten into a fight with someone else just before this incident happened, because that may provide the reason why he may have been distracted. So again, remember that the most important detail of the story has already been presented in the first paragraph. Then we must introduce sources and use direct quotations. Maybe we talk to the chief of police, or maybe the investigating police officer, or maybe we happen to have found the student who was walking alongside the other student, or who may have been there and telling him not to cross the road, and so on. Okay, so you try to sprinkle quotations throughout the story. And quotations, if you remember, can be in 3 styles. It could be a direct quote where you use their exact words, or it could also be an indirect where you paraphrase or summarize their main points, or you can do what is kind of a partial quotation where you're not quoting everything or quoting full sentences. You're only bringing in some keywords that they may have said. The key thing about an inverted pyramid is the arrangement of information. And we have to arrange information in descending order of importance, which implies that the most important info is placed high in the story. Additional paragraphs merely contain less important information than the one preceding it. And the reason for this is that editors could at any point cut the story without really cutting any major information that the reader needs. And in writing an inverted pyramid, transitions are very important. You always want the reader to see the relationship between a paragraph and the one that follows it, and even the one that precedes it. It shows whether you're adding information or providing possibly contrasting information, or maybe providing examples. Again, if you need more clarification on transitions, please open the PowerPoint on transitions, and that will give you enough information, or at least something to go by. One of the things that you need to know about news writing is never to editorialize. Do not state your opinion. It doesn't belong in news writing. Always avoid using the first or the second person. That means that you should use the third person. Continue reporting news until the end. A good way to end an inverted pyramid writing is with a quote. Let's say you were able to speak with an investigating police officer who says to you, at this point, we really don't know what exactly caused this accident. We're going to continue looking into it. That would be a good way, because you're giving the reader some hope, something to look forward to, possibly future news stories. Or let's say you spoke to the mother of the student who was killed, and the mother just tells you how painful this whole experience has been, and ends it with some sort of, whether it's hope or even some kind of hopelessness. Okay, you want always to let the reader leave your stories with another voice, not necessarily your voice. You want them to hear one of the key people you're quoting in your story. And do not end your stories with an attribution, such as he said. Always put the attribution before the quotation, so that what they hear is the speaker's voice, not your own attribution. This is it for this lesson. You can always contact me by email, and let me know if you have any questions. And also try to conclude the assignments that are associated with this this lecture. And please remember that that is the default way of writing your news. The inverted pyramid. When in doubt, tell the reader what happened, who is involved, when it happened, where it happened, why it happened, and how it happened. Okay, so have a nice rest of the day. Bye-bye.